Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Marcia.
It's been a while.
I know. Oh my gosh. So it's been it's been even longer for us than for all the listeners because our last recording was in October, but then it didn't get out until I didn't manage to get it out right away. So it was sometime in November. That was the one with all the technology problems. So it took me a while. So anyway, yes, it's been more than a month.
Yes, and I was out of town a little bit, and so yeah. Anyway, well, let's get into it.
Okay.
What do we have to? What should we talk about first?
Well, do we have anything to show for all that time?
Let me actually. Now that I say that, I didn't think I had anything, but let me see what I finished. I didn't write this in my notes. Kelly, it's been so long since I've recorded.
Yes, you forgot what you finished.
I forgot what I finished. I think I finished. I don't think I had finished this before I left, but I made an 1898 hat for myself.
Oh, okay.
Did I talk? I don't think
No.
I may be repeating myself, but anyway, I made another hat for myself out of Lady Men Fiber Arts. Let's see, Lady Men Fiber Arts, and it's box office, which is worsted weight, and the colorway is Wild Goose Chase.
Right.
And so I just made that hat for myself. Let's see. I completed it. Oh, here's my notes. I completed it October 7th. So maybe I had completed it the last time we recorded.
Oh, maybe. I remember you talking about it because that's the yarn you bought in Seabrook when we went for the meetup.
And then I think I did not talk about this, though. I'm pretty sure I finished the socks that I was making for my brother.
Okay.
And so it's just that the basic sock pattern, sort of a sock pattern recipe by Nancy Lindbergh. And it's NL7 knit to fit socks is the pattern. And I use the I never had to pronounce this, Kelly, but the Schockenmeyer Regia design line by Arnie and Carlos. And then for the toes, I did contrasting colors for the toes. And I did a kind of a red-orange color with the Knitted Wit Smarties. Oh, I did talk about this because remember I was saying you need 45 yards for one toe and one heel of one sock. Remember that conversation? So anyway, but I finished the socks and I gave them to him for his birthday. So
nice.
So I think that's all I have that's finished.
Okay.
So anyway, well, should I talk about projects?
Yes. Talk about what you're working on now. Yeah.
So let's see. I continue to work on Shared Rib. That's the Ann Hansen cowl and the Old Maiden Aunt fingering weight. And I'm about halfway done on the cowl. And it's now, the cool thing about this cowl is it's reverse. It's cables, but you can wear it, both sides look good.
Yeah, that's interesting. Reversible really cables.
Yeah. So, I'm about halfway done. You're supposed to do 7 repeats and I've done 4 repeats. So I'm on the, on the other side, I'm on the downhill of working on that. And then, I just have to talk about Daphne's skull. So wasn't I like, I'm going to get this done before Halloween?
Yes,
you were. When we last recorded.
You were thinking you could get it done. We were a few days out and you kind of thought maybe not, but there was still hope.
I had hope until I did the first tooth for the skull. And then the first tooth, I was like, I cast on and I knit that first tooth and I thought there is no way I'm going to get this thing done before Halloween, let alone next Halloween.
I remember you were talking about how they were so small and yet they had like decreases and stuff in them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shaping. Wow.
And it's 000 needles.
We're crazy. Absolutely
and I think now I don't have the pattern here. I have it. It's Daphne, she just lives in her own little bag, but her own little casket, I guess. Anyway, I think the teeth are DK weight, I think. No, I'm sorry. No, they're not. They're sport weight.
Okay, yeah. I knew they were smaller.
Yeah, it's sport weight. Anyway, I've done 16 teeth for the bottom jaw, and they're all attached. And now I said to myself is I'm going to do 2 teeth a day. That's my plan. But I haven't even done that. Oh, so dear. I think it was probably 2 or 3 days ago I finished the teeth for the lower jaw. Now I have to do the 16 teeth for the upper jaw. And then reading ahead with the pattern, there's also some little bits that you knit in it. I think you put the skull together and there's little bits that you then attach, like for the like above the, well, I don't know the names of them, but I think that they're the bits that go above the eye socket. Mm-hmm. To make it look more pronounced, kind of, sort of Neanderthal-esque kind of.
My sugar skull had some padding pieces that I had to make.
Yes. Yeah. So I have to do those padding pieces, and I still have to get, I was delusional now that looking back, thinking, but I was going to get this done for Halloween. Because I have to get some light gray to rim the eye sockets, I believe. And then I have to get a dark black for the actual eye sockets.
Right, because I was thinking, even with the sugar skull, I was thinking that they were just like holes, but it was actually dark yarn on a base layer, and then the sugar skull went over the top of it.
They're sort of like, I think the eye sockets are sort of like pockets.
Yeah, and they're lined.
They go back
with
into
darker color, yeah. Mm-hmm. They're not just empty holes. So.
Yeah. So, I have a lot of work ahead of me. Completely out of my mind thinking I was going to get it done. But someone on Instagram made a comment that I'm early for Halloween because next year.
That's what you have to think of.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
so I'm gonna get it done, and I also think I need to get it done because didn't Nitty Barb ask me to bring it to
Stitches to the meetup.
So
that'd be fun.
I have another deadline.
Yeah.
Thanks, Barb.
I think that's a great idea, though.
Yeah. She could be our mascot down there.
I'll bring mine, and I was thinking about how I could make it like a mask that you wear on the back of your head, kind of like a hat. Yeah. So I may wear mine one of the days of Stitches.
Well, maybe I'll wear mine on top of my head. No, I'll put her on a pike and just carry her around.
That's right. You can carry it around. Goodness.
Anyway. So, yes, I have to say, though, that I still... I do not feel frustrated by this pattern at all. I think it's really, really fascinating that Ellen's mind that she's able to create these patterns, and it really is fun and interesting. And I've not knit anything like this before. It's very fiddly, no question. It's fiddly, but I'm looking forward to working on it. But it is one of those things I can't work on it when there's people around, or I can't watch, a foreign film with subtitles, or
or anything where you have to really concentrate.
No. So anyway, but enough of the skull. Then the other thing, I cast on a pair of socks, and I'm calling them my John O'Groat socks because again, it's just that same pattern, the kind of the sock recipe. Nancy Lindbergh, but I'm using the yarn I bought at the Caithness Craft Retreat last May, and it's the yarn is yarns from the plains, and it's a fingering weight. And Nick, the dyer, was there at the retreat and set up her booth with her yarn, so I bought some of it, and so this is what I'm making the socks, and they're very unusual. Even though it's I bought it in Scotland, it feels like I'm in the tropics knitting with it because it's bright aqua and green and kind of like lime green and yellow, very, very bright. And it's knitting up, just every row's the color changes. It's stripes, but every row changes colors.
Okay.
So it's not blocks of stripes.
Right,
It's
like a row and small scale stripes.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's kind of fun. I'm working on that. And then you'll find humor in this, that Ben's current girlfriend asked for a hat. So because I'm a nice person, I really like Bar. She's very nice. So and I think she's going to be around for a while, I'm pretty sure. So I'm making a hat for her, and it's called Mash It Up. And I also wanted to just bring this up too, because we often have conversations about using up yarn. Mm-hmm. So this would be a great one for using up yarn. So it's the pattern is by Babs Osherman, who owns
Miss Babs?
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank. Miss Babs. Thank you. Anyway, it's a kind of a cool hat because you use sock weight yarn, but you hold it double.
Oh, yeah.
So when you have all of like the painted and the variegated, it's kind of cool how it all layers together. And so what you do is it's just a basic stockinette hat is what it is, but it's a free pattern on Ravelry. But you do the ribbing in one color, and then the first row, I think it's the first 4 rows, you alternate the color.
Okay.
Like you're the one that you're working with, and then you start a new color, alternate it. Then you do 6 rows of the new color together. Mm-hmm. Then you drop they have them actually color A, B, C, D that way. So like you do the ribbing in color A, then you blend color A, B, then you do all B, then you do B, C, then you do all C. So makes an interesting, it's very interesting how it all, you can't really predict how it's going to turn.
It's kind of the idea you had for one of the blankets you were talking about making.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the one you did make is one color combined with all the changing colors. But you had talked about like doing 2 colors for a while, drop one, pick up something else. Do those 2 for a while, drop one, pick up something else. Yeah. I'm going to look on your pattern, your project page to see what it looks like.
Oh, I don't have a picture of it up yet, but you can go look at the pattern and see what it looks like. So, Ben said that she really likes sort of earthy colors and, she doesn't want any like hot pinks and hot oranges. Right. That's not her color palette. So I found I had quite a bit. Do you remember a number of years ago, I did that mini mania scarf where you used all of the sock scraps? So I had a lot of sock scraps that you had sent me. And then, my friend Kim had given me. So I think I have some of your yarn and Kim's yarn I put in the hat because I didn't have a lot of more sort of earthy natural colors. So but it's kind of fun. So it's cute pattern. You can see the other projects. Are you looking at the other projects to see?
I haven't gotten there yet. My computer woes are continuing. So I'm on a different computer, so I'm not moving as fast as I normally do. I'm trying to get to your project page. And probably because I'm not going to be able to do the kind of editing I do, people will be able to hear me clicking on the keyboard. Sorry.
And also,
let me go to the. Okay, now I'm going here. Mash It Up by Babs Osherman. Oh yeah, it's sort of a fade effect on some of them. Mm-hmm. That sort of find your fade. Mm-hmm. Or it has fade, that. Oh, whatever those different fade shawl names and faded sweaters and stuff.
And I think I think it would be interesting. So I'm trying to do sort of more alternating kind of a solid sock weight and a more variegated. Okay. If you look at the ones that she has on her example, she has sort of more contrast between light and dark. Mm-hmm. But they're very cute.
This might be a good thing for me to do. I found some things. Remember I had lost the gradient from Neighborhood Fiber Company? Oh, right, yeah. I found it.
Oh, yay. Yeah. That's good news.
I had almost gotten to the point where I thought that I brought it with me to a conference, on conference travel and left it in the hotel dresser. I'd almost gotten to the point where I thought that was the case. But I couldn't figure out why I would have brought all that yarn with me.
Yeah.
Because I had a specific bag that just had one ball in it that I knew where that was, and the rest of it was missing. So I really couldn't fathom why I would have had a project bag with just one ball in it and then also brought all the rest of it with me. Or why wouldn't I just have gotten a bigger project bag, right?
Right.
So I was pretty sure that wasn't the case, but I had not been able to find it. Anyway, I found it. The other thing I found was another thing I won as a door prize at the Knockers Retreat one year. And that is I think it was a door prize, a whole bag of minis, like 400 yards worth of mini skeins.
Ooh, that's fun.
And I thought, then as I was listening to you talk about this hat, I was thinking, okay, this might be a fun thing to do with all of those minis.
Yeah.
Use them 2 at a time and drop one and pick up another and do that.
And it's because you've been, with your sock scraps, you've been making all the baby socks, and you're getting kind of bored with that, right?
Yeah.
A little bit?
A little bit. I have a lot of them. In fact, oh my God, I still have to get them washed. What I have to do is get in touch with someone who knows about the status of mom and baby who are now on leave. And get her address so I can send it off. Usually... Oh,
you still have them?
Yeah, Kelly. I still have them. Her baby was due in October. And usually you hear something. Like an announcement comes out with a picture and stuff from the president's office. So I haven't heard anything. And I know she had a really difficult pregnancy. So I'm a little bit like... I don't want to email her and ask for her address. I need to get in contact with one of her closer colleagues.
Yeah.
And find out. I mean, I haven't heard anything negative. It's probably fine. We over the course of that time where she would have been having the baby, we switched presidents. You know, our president retired and we got a new president. And so it's possible that something like that just fell through the cracks. Or maybe she didn't want to send a picture of her baby to be put in the college newsletter. I don't know.
That's entirely possible.
Yeah.
You know?
So anyway, I mean, you'd think she would. I mean, people do announcements, but she might just be too busy to even think about sending the information. So, yeah. You think you have these. Having been on maternity leave, I thought, I'm going to clean my closets and I'm going to do all this stuff, and I did nothing. I always thought I barely made it through the day. In my head, when I was younger, I always thought, that would be a good time for me to learn to spin. Instead, I waited until I was supposed to be working on a dissertation. Yeah, right. Kind of the same idea, except... It's kind of a baby, yeah. Except you can't neglect your baby the way you can neglect your dissertation. That's true. Anyway, so didn't mean to sidetrack the conversation about the hats and your projects, but this does sound like a good candidate. This Mash It Up sounds like a good candidate for my all my mini skeins. And if I made it bigger and a little more slouchy, I could use up even more of those minis. Yeah, because it doesn't quite take 400 yards, and I think that's what I have. And the other reason I just say why I decided to make this pattern for Bar is that she's really concerned about the environment and like using things and reusing them and don't buy new things. So I thought it was really kind of cool that, and I said to Ben that she could be okay that I'm just using up yarn scraps on this hat. You know, like some people might be a little offended by that. And she said, oh no, she'll love that. And that's what I kind of thought too, is that she'd be really intrigued with the idea that you're using the leftovers to create something else new. So that's good. Yeah, you have to put up a picture. I want to see it. Yeah, I'll do it. Anyway, Kelly, that's all I have for projects. How about you? Okay, well, I did finish something. Yay! I was almost finished, and maybe even calling the Sugar Skull finished in the last episode. I got all the embroidery on it. That's not what I'm talking about. I finished something else. Something else weird and unuseful and fun. Remember I was doing the mystery gnome? Oh, yeah. When I was at the retreat at Seabrook. So I got stalled out on those, mostly because I had to put stuffing in them. And then it said you needed poly pellets, and I didn't have poly pellets. And then I thought, you know what? Just use beans. I mean, it's not like it's some heirloom thing. So the beans get kind of soft and absorb moisture after a while, or my mom's next dog smells beans and rips the gnomes apart to eat the beans inside. I don't know. But I just thought, I'm just going to use beans. So I just used some dried kidney beans instead of the poly pellets. And I finally finished them. They did turn out really cute. The original pattern did not have a beard. And I was a little bit disappointed that it didn't have a beard. So I made a beard anyway. I made beards on them. Gave them both beards, but they're really cute. Their little arms are these little skinny I-cord tubes that then you stuff into little pockets that are on the front of the gnomes. So that's really cute. And I made tassels for the end of the hat. I wasn't sure if I was going to braid the 3 parts of the hat and have it be a more traditional looking gnome hat, or if I was going to leave it separated. And once I got the tassels on, it's like, oh yeah, that's cute. So I've made 2 of them. One's red and one's red with green and one's green with red. And my mom's theme this year for Christmas is gnomes. So she's getting gnomes from everyone to decorate her house. And so these are gonna be an addition to that.
Okay,
so,
cute.
Yeah. Fiddly.
That's a great idea.
Fiddly. They were fiddly.
Yeah. Like that skull.
Yeah. Kind of like that. I don't know. People just love making them. And when I first started, I thought, oh, I'm going to make a whole bunch for my mom. And then I kind of, they weren't thrilling me to make. But I think part of it had to do with the break in the middle. I just kind of like the funk I was talking about, the knitting funk I was talking about. So I think if I were doing them at another time in my life, I think I would have thought they were really fun and maybe, bought more of the gnome patterns and done more of the gnomes for my mom's little theme this year. But I didn't. I just made 2.
So I think it's a really cool idea that she's, she picks a theme and then everybody brings her a gnome ornament. I mean, is that what she planned? Does she do that every year? I mean, I know she has a different theme every year, but does she... does everybody bring her something?
I think people just get kind of interested in it. Like my aunt's already found her a gnome. What do you call it? That you wipe your feet on? Doormat.
Oh, doormat. Yeah.
A gnome doormat, and so she got that at Thanksgiving, and this other little gnome that sits around, and then she's looking for stuff out in the stores, and other people are looking for stuff, and just kind of going kind of nutty. So yeah, it's fun. Other people get involved, and that's the fun part, I think, is that other people get involved in helping her create her decorations. Yeah. Yeah. And my mom likes to shop. She likes to shop for that kind of stuff,
Yeah, I hate shopping for that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not my thing either.
Not my thing,
But she does like it. And then she like remixes. Like, so one year the theme was mittens, and then another year the theme was just winter, and so all the mitten stuff was able to be used again. And one year I think it was woodland creatures, and so and then some of those got to be used in the winter theme. And anyway, she does mix and matching things for themes. Yeah. She didn't do this when we were young. When we were young, we had the traditional tree with, the family ornaments that we'd all made in first grade and second grade and stuff. So, but nowadays she thinks of a theme and then they decorate. And then she has everybody over to her house for Christmas Eve. So it's worthwhile to do a lot of decorating because she has a big party.
A big part. Yeah, you have a big party over there, yeah.
So that's the only thing that I finished are the 2 gnomes. And then I started some things, Marcia.
Ooh.
I mean,
this is exciting.
Yeah. And I started them. I got the bug to start things shortly after we recorded the last time. So maybe early November. I don't know, something like that. I started.
Because that's when the funk was going on at that point, right?
And then all of a sudden I thought, I was sitting in the sunroom one day and looking at the yarn, some of the yarn that I have sitting there. And this one skein that I used, or that I made from the loop bump. Mm-hmm. Remember when we bought those loop bumps?
Yeah.
And so I spun it. So a loop bump is like a skein of roving, or like a cake, like a yarn cake. But it's, instead of being yarn, it's roving. And you pull from the center and you spin it. And I remember when I first started listening to podcasts, the people in the East Coast had access to her. I can't even remember who makes them now, but they always talked about going to Rhinebeck and getting a loop bump.
I think the company was just called The Loop.
Okay.
I think.
Maybe, yeah. Or maybe, yeah. So that's why it's called a loop bump. Okay. That makes sense. And people would have collections of loop bumps, and the video podcasters a lot of times would point, oh, this is the section of my stash back here where I have all my loop bumps. And so when she was at Stitches that time, it was so exciting, and they are really cool. So we both bought one, and I spun mine as singles, and then I wrapped it or plied it with silk thread that I got on a bobbin from the Eugene Textile Center at Black Sheep Gathering. So I really like this yarn, and I got a lot of yardage out of it, like 1,200 yards almost, I think. And so out of I think it was maybe a 5-ounce bump. And so I thought, okay, well, I really want to make something where I use it all. And it's a gradient. So it goes from gray to like kind of a grayish purple, pale grayish purple, to darker purple, to like this eggplanty purple. And then it goes to teal. And well, it goes back to gray, and then to teal, and then back to gray, and then to purple again. And the dark part of the purple is almost black. Anyway, really, really pretty yarn. And I didn't want to make something that wouldn't take advantage of all of the yarn and the full like gradient look. So anyway, one day I was sitting there, and I just thought, you know what? I feel like crocheting. And so I had a crochet shawl that is called the Dew Drop Shawl pattern, and it's by Silke Terhorst. Terhorst, Terhorst, Silke. And anyway, it's a fun pattern. It's got, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 row repeat. It's complicated enough that I really have to kind of pay attention. But it's not so hard that I can't watch television. I mean, I can't watch because I have to look at crochet when I do it.
Right.
But it's not like I can't concentrate on listening to an audiobook, or it's not that kind of a difficult project. But it's enough to keep my interest. So anyway, I've been loving that, and I love the way the colors are going, and so I started working on that.
I'm looking at it on your picture on Ravelry. Very pretty. Yeah, I'm just really pleased with how it's coming out. So, and then I had a sewing project I had to do because I was making a cover for the bench in the bed in the bathroom. And so when I was at Joann's buying the fabric, I just had to walk over to the yarn section. And then that reminded me that I had a pattern that I had favorited a long time ago called the Habitat Cardigan. And it's also a crochet pattern. So I looked it up on Ravelry. It took the Lion Brand Heartland. So I looked to see if they had that variety of the Lion Brand yarn. And they did. And it's in kind of a foresty green color is what I got. So the yarn is Heartland. It's 100% acrylic. So you can wear it.
So I can wear it. It won't itch. Yeah. And it wasn't expensive. So it's kind of a big, loose, baggy sweater. So even if it turns out to be something that looks like my clothes are eating me, I can still just wear it at home and not feel bad that I spent a lot of money making a sweater that I don't really look that great in. So that's what I'm working on right now.
I'm sorry. I'm just laughing. You're making something you may not look that good in.
Well, because you know that that's the kind of thing I like.
Yeah.
But that's not exactly the best, not necessarily the best choice for someone who's my height.
Right.
Big, baggy clothes that are swallowing you.
Yeah. No, but it's cute.
They're for people who are tall and willowy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, or at least the picture in my head.
Well, I was going to say, when you said it's for people who are tall and willowy, I was about to say the way I am in my brain.
That's right. Yes. We all have that. We all have the way we look in our head and then the way we look in real life. So anyway, it's called the Habitat Cardigan. And it's kind of a shrug with sleeves. It's kind of shruggy shape, but it's long. It has an extended bottom of it. And then the sleeves are long, and it's got ribbing. So I'm learning how to do crochet ribbing, which is fun. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really enjoying it. I've been enjoying doing crochet, both the shawl and this cardigan. I haven't worked on my other sweater, my tee, for a while, the cotton tee that has a crochet neckline, just partly because all of a sudden it became winter here. Mm-hmm. Like one day I woke up and there was snow on Mount Toro, and it was like the day before Thanksgiving. There was snow on Mount Toro, and it didn't even get into the 50s, I think, one day, which is unusual for us.
Yeah.
At this time of year, So yeah, let's see, what else?
Your jacket.
Yeah,
right?
my Sonny Bono jacket, I ran out of yarn again. Or I can tell I'm going to, so I have to order another skein. I thought about ordering 2 skeins when I ordered it before, but I decided, or maybe I did order 2 skeins. No, I thought about ordering 2 skeins before, but it's expensive yarn. And I thought, I'm just going to buy one, and then I can buy another one if I need it. I don't really want to buy an extra one and then not need it for as expensive as handspun. Tailspun mohair yarn is. So, but yes, I am going to need extra yarn to finish the second sleeve and the collar. And then the only other thing I've been working on, actually there's a lot of different stuff I've been sort of hopping back and forth around between projects, is the weaving that I've been doing. And they're dish towels. I made a warp last winter. I think it was last December. I created the warp for this and put it on the loom, and then didn't thread the loom, just did the front to back winding of the warp, or back to front. Anyway, I wound the warp in a way that I had not done before. And then I put it away and didn't do anything more with it until now. So that's back going. I actually started, making things, like I'm done slaying the reed and threading the heddles and all that. And I've actually been weaving. Wove a sample. I really like the way it feels. And
I'm looking at your page. This is the Stash Buster weaving, the kind of gold ochre color.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I used up a couple of different cones of yellow. And as I used up cones, I would just, figure out something else to put in there. So it's the warp is kind of in 3 sections. And I kind of did different things within the 3 sections because I was just running out of yarn as I was winding the warp, which was perfect because that was what I was trying to do, was use up some of my stash. And so now I'm using this weft yarn that is like a cotton singles that's been plied with a thread. So it's real fluffy and soft. And so it's been weaving up. I think it's weaving up really nicely. I think they'll be really absorbent. Not sure how hard wearing they'll be. It's not like weaving with linen, a linen towel that will last forever. But it doesn't matter. I'm using spirit yarn and I'm having fun weaving, and so that's what I've been doing. The other day, like after Thanksgiving, when my house was freezing cold because the heater wasn't working, I had the space heater on and sat at the loom. This is my table loom that I'm using. And I sat at the loom with the space heater running on my feet, my legs. I felt like when I used to live in Spokane, and I used to put a blanket over the table and put the space heater under the table. I didn't quite do that, but it reminded me of living in Spokane when we had hardly any heat, and so because it was cold here for those days around Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And well, I have a lot of sympathy for you, because I think it was last year that the furnace went out. I had to get a new furnace, and it was January.
Right.
It was after Christmas.
It was colder for you. Yeah. It was like 40 something in your house, right?
It was like 40 degrees in my house. It was so cold.
Yeah.
But
so ours didn't get down that low. It was about 55. But because there was so much rain, I mean, we've had rain every day since before Thanksgiving. And because there was so much rain, I was like, everything felt damp and no heat. Everything felt damp in the house. When I would go at night to change into my pajamas, it felt like I was putting on wet clothes. When I get up in the morning and put on my robe, it felt like it had sat in a puddle all night. I mean, just everything was so damp. Yeah. And I mean, the heater's only been working for one day. Robert had it fixed yesterday. And already just the way the house has dried out is surprising. Really surprising.
Yeah.
So.
No, well, I don't know how much it really is wet, or if it's just because it's so cold.
Right.
I don't know. But I know that, because it was about 3 weeks before I could get the new furnace. And I was really, because it was about 20 degrees outside. Yeah. And I was really worried that, pipes were going to freeze or something. Right. And that's what I was really worried about. But
right. Well, at least, I mean, you weren't living.
I wasn't living in the house
at that time, but still you have to worry about that kind of stuff. And then you did have to stay there all day one time and wait for someone to arrive. I remember because we were recording and you were.
Yes, it was. There's the basement has a little space heater, but I wasn't down there. But there's a little former bedroom, now library study off the back of the house that has an electric heater. So I had that going.
Yeah.
But it was, but you know how like the furniture gets really cold?
Yeah.
So then you sit on it and you're like, oh my God, it almost makes me colder sitting on the furniture. I just put I put towels down on it, I don't know. It's just, very. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It was nothing like, really was nothing like that here, but it is, we don't have the kind of house where you can close everything off.
Right.
And so it's a space heater is like spitting. It's like spitting into the ocean.
Well, and also you have really high ceilings too, so any heat you have is up there, at the
at the high ceiling or on the second floor. And that has a high ceiling too. Yeah. So anyway, that was unpleasant, and I tried very hard not to descend into feeling sorry for myself that my vacation after Thanksgiving was being ruined by no heat. So I was crocheting madly and weaving madly and, doing that kind of stuff so that I could
stay warm
and feel positive. And so anyway, I got a lot of stuff done.
Good.
Yeah. So speaking of getting stuff done, I was looking at my year because we're coming on to the end of the year, Marcia.
Yes, I know. It's
December.
So let's
already.
see. I see here in the notes what you finished. Why don't you tell everybody what you finished, because it's impressive.
Well, it's not that impressive to me.
Oh, really?
Because I got stalled by the foot.
Oh, right.
But I shouldn't be like that because I finished 22 projects, which is lower than in previous years. And it's not exactly accurate because like some of the projects are multiple things. Like one project could be, a bunch of charity hats. So I have 22 projects, but the fun thing was the thing that I think is fun about this, because it's like your review at the end of the semester, which I'm at now, where you think about what you did that semester, and then you start thinking about what you could do differently next semester, what could have been better, and all that kind of stuff. So I was doing like an analysis. So I went into my projects, and then I looked on the far right-hand side where you can do advanced. You can click on the button that brings you to the advanced search.
Right.
And then you go down on the left-hand side. You have all these different filters. And the one I used was the filter about when I finished it. So finished in 2019. And so I clicked that. And that gives me just the projects that were finished in 2019, which I think I'll still have a couple more to add to this. But so this gave me a page that just shows all my 2019 projects. And you can also see 3 of them were in light fingering, 5 of them were in fingering, all the different filters that are on the side. 6 of my projects were classified as toys and hobbies, all those different filters. You can look at them and see. All my patterns were in English. You can look at the colors. So I have projects in the yellow range. I have projects in the blue range. I have projects in the orange and pink range. I don't know. I just thought it was a really interesting way to look at your projects.
Yeah.
With this advanced search. And I like the advanced search feature in Ravelry. Anyway. Oh, yeah. Because it's so fun to slice and dice your data that way. So here's what I did. 5 pairs of socks. 4 of them were short socks. And I think they were all done when I had a broken foot. And 1 regular pair of socks. That was the Seabrook ones. I did 9 charity hats. Wow. I did 2 sweaters that I finished. A shawl. 2 cowls. And a little shawlette. And then 2 gnomes, a bee, a tarantula, 10 bears, and a sugar skull. I did not garment knitting. I did things that were not garments so much this year, I think. And then for my knot along projects, I did the quilt top, which that was big. Finishing that quilt top that I started when I was in high school. That was a huge accomplishment. So I'm really pleased about that. And then I did 2 punch needle projects. And so that's kind of my wrap up, which I guess light on garments, heavy on oddball things.
Well, I did it too, and I did 14 projects. I did 4 sweaters, 2 t-shirts.
Oh my God.
3 pairs of socks, 4 hats, and 1 scarf. And I'm just
That's 6 sweaters, really, Marsha, right?
Yeah.
4 sweaters and 2 t-shirts? Wow. 6 You did a sweater every 2 months.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Wow. And the one of the t-shirts was that lace market. Remember the linen, which was very fine. It took me forever to do that. But what I was going to say about my project, which I am pleased with, is so many of them I gave away.
Oh, right, because that was your goal.
Yeah, so I made a sweater, the 1 scarf, and a pair of socks I gave to my brother. And then I gave the first 1898 hat, I gave that away. And then I made 2 preemie hats that I gave away when we were in, when we went to the knitting retreat in Scotland. They were collecting hats for preemie. So I did 2 preemie hats. So yeah, I'm kind of pleased that I gave a lot away.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave away, what is that? 4 projects?
So question, do you think you gave away more yarn than you brought in?
Oh, definitely not. No. But I'm now looking at my projects. So there was, I think cloud cover. I think that yarn, I got from the D-stash room or something. I can't remember now. Both Cobblestone and Mountain High, the 2 sweaters I made, were yarn I bought in Scotland the first trip, which I'm pleased that I used that up. And let me think. 2 pairs of socks was sock stash yarn. I didn't buy it for the projects. They were just yarn I had. And then the lounging top, one of the t-shirts I made was actually repurposed yarn. I was a t-shirt I had made I didn't like, and I ripped it out and I redid it. So, I did a pretty good job of using things from my stash.
Yeah. Or
spirit yarn.
Oh, I remember the cloud cover one. Okay. I had forgotten about what that was looking like.
Did I get that? I don't know if
that was yarn from Scotland. Wasn't it?
Oh, no, Mountain High was from Scotland.
Oh, okay.
No, I take it back. I did buy this yarn.
Juniper
I bought
Moon.
it on Juniper Moon. I bought it at the Fiber Gallery in Seattle. It was on sale.
I remember now.
But anyway, things that I did use things. I didn't buy any of this new, except I'm trying to think. The only thing I bought, it all was new at one point, but the only thing I bought specifically for the project was that lace market. I bought the required yarn for that. Otherwise, all things I had. Trying to.
Oh, I should look at mine from that perspective. Okay, so my gnomes were vintage spirit yarn. I bought the yarn for those socks, the Seabrook socks. I had bought the yarn specifically for the Koru cardigan. That's that Western Sky Knits rustic dance silk. I love that stuff. The tarantula and the bee were leftovers of Neighborhood Fiber Company. The bears were all leftovers. The awesome sweater that I did over the summer, the pink one, finally got rid of all that cicada. And then the short socks were all leftovers. I made yarn for myself for one of the shawls. I dyed some of our Replenish Rambouillet, and I specifically dyed that for that shawl. Let's see. Is there anything else that Oh, and I bought the yarn for those cowls, the silk cowls. I bought that yarn at a Yarn Less Raveled. So yeah, I didn't knit, except for the Koru cardigan, which I specifically bought yarn to make that, and those cowls. All of my knitting this year, of things that I've finished so far this year, has all been from stash.
That's good.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I didn't buy anything. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I didn't buy anything. But yeah, it's nice to go back and be able to use the stash yarn. Like one of the things that was the most fun about the gnomes was that I'm using this yarn that's called, let's see if I can find it. No, I can't find it. It's called Fleischer's. Fleischer's Wonder Sock or something like that. Fleischer's Wonder Yarn. And it's deluxe sock and sport, anti-shrink, anti-matting, all virgin wool, washable. And then there's another one I forget what the brand is, but it's called Wonderized. It's like permanently moth-proof. I don't want to know how they do that. But these are all, I don't know, they look like they maybe were from the 60s.
Yeah, I have, when I was looking out for all that worsted weight always at the Goodwill to make Afghans and stuff, there was something that had, would you say Wonderized? Is that what it was? There was something in there that could have been the word now, I've forgotten now, that I remember looking up that it was some form of moth proofing and lots of chemicals impregnating it. Right,
exactly. And that's what it kind of sounds like. Some kind of moth proofing. Although I suppose it could be like some kind of coating too, not like a poison, but like to make it hard for them to eat it. And then I looked up in my stash, not this particular one, but one of the things that was in my stash, I was looking for some information about the yarn, and I put it into, it was one of these vintage sock yarns, and I put it into Google, and I found an ad in an old newspaper. You know how sometimes Google will pop up old newspaper scans? And I found an ad in an old newspaper from like the 50s that was an ad for this particular yarn. So one of them is like from the 50s. The rest of them look like they were maybe from the 60s. But anyway, it was fun to use it. That was one of the most fun things about doing the gnomes, was to be using that old. Of course, it would take a lot of gnomes to use it up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I have other projects that I could use that for. An advent calendar for my niece and nephew, like a string of Christmas socks and sweaters and that kind of stuff.
Are you going to make that? Or?
I think I am. I'm leaning towards doing it. I've gone back and forth about it.
I think it started already. Doesn't it start December 1st?
Well, no, I'm not doing it for this year.
Oh, say. You better get going.
I know. But I was thinking if I started now, kind of like your teeth, for your skull. If I started now and I told myself I was going to do, two things each month, I would have them done by next Christmas. Yeah. So I think I might do that because I think that's kind of I think an advent calendar is kind of fun. And then Sarah can put little candies or toys or whatever she wants into the little socks. And I was thinking socks, mittens. Yeah, I don't know how excited they are about Cash.
They're not at that age.
One's 5 and one's 7. Yeah, I don't.
They'll be at that age at one point where it's like they just want. They don't want candy. They just want cash.
A Starbucks card or yeah. Whatever will be the equivalent for them of a Starbucks card. Yeah. So, but anyway, I think I will do that with some of that yarn. It got me. I mean, doing little small projects with it got me kind of excited about maybe doing more little small projects all year. So,
yeah.
Oh, I hear Nash barking in the background.
Okay. Do you want to stop?
No, because I won't be able to edit because I'm still using the oddball software that I don't really know how to use very well. So that's it for. So the other thing is that everything we wanted to talk about in terms of okay. So we just need to talk about events too. Yeah.
Let's just talk about what we've got going on and what we're going to be doing.
Okay. Well, and I just thought of something before we move to events. I haven't started thinking about thinking forward to 2020 yet. But I'm kind of itching to sit down and do that, to make firm plans about what I want to do. But I mean, I did that last year and then things went awry.
Yes.
So I'm not sure how much of that planning I want to do this year, but I will kind of sit and think about what I think my plans are for at least some overall things I want to look at and look into and do more of. So,
okay.
Anyway,
all right,
we can do that in a future
because I have stuff I've been thinking about
episode
too,
where we have time to think a little bit more about 2020, the new decade, Marcia.
I know
it's not even just a new year; it's a whole new decade. That's a lot of pressure.
Do you remember when we changed to 2000 and the whole Y2K thing and the hysteria?
What I remember about that,
ages ago now.
Yeah, what I remember about that was there was a lot of pressure to have a really big, do something big New Year's Eve, right? It's a big deal, right? And it's a big New Year's Eve, and so a lot of pressure. I had one of the only times that I've had the flu. I had the flu so bad that I could barely open my eyes. I felt so horrible that day and that night. I just went to bed. I mean, I didn't even make it to New York New Year's. I think I might have celebrated Australian New Year's or something. By about 1 PM, I couldn't take it anymore, and I was in bed for the rest of the night. Yeah. So that was and I was young enough that was kind of a disappointment. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I would be as disappointed now. But at the time, it was like, oh, it was supposed to be a big deal.
Oh, yeah. I remember it was a big deal and like trying to figure out like where to go to celebrate it. And Ben was 20 years ago, he would have been about 2.
Oh, he was tiny, yeah.
Tiny, yeah. And I remember my parents took him and they had some friends come over and they spent the evening and they babysat and we went downtown to a big party. But it was a big deal about trying to figure out, what event to go to and then getting into the event. And was there any, space available? It was a big deal.
Too much pressure. Yeah. A whole new century is too much, way too much pressure. At least, I guess we can be happy it's just a new decade. Oh dear. Yeah. So, well, I'll be starting the new decade with a new computer, which hopefully will last me the decade.
Yeah. Let's hope so.
Yes. My last one did, so.
Let's talk about the 2 things. We have 2 events going on right now. We should talk about those.
Yes.
So, Winter Weave Along, Kelly, I'm going to let you speak to that.
Okay. Well, join us in the thread. And, I was thinking I would pull prizes for both the Winter Weave Along and the Fix It or Nix It. We have, I don't remember if I've put a finished object thread in the Winter Weave Along. But I think what I'm going to do, since I didn't plan this ahead of time, and it's been going on long enough that there's a lot of chat in both of those. So I'm going to, after this episode has been up for a little while, I'm going to go into the thread and I'll draw and then I'll just announce in the thread who won. For the Winter Weave Along that started October 15th and the Fix It or Nix It that started November 1st. So I've been weaving. I've been, even more than weaving, though, I've been enjoying seeing what other people are weaving. Quite a bit of chat in the Winter Weave Along thread, people talking about what they're doing. And that's been really exciting and really fun to see. And then the Fix It or Nix It, I need to get started on that because part of what I found, remember when I said I found the yarn? Mm-hmm. Part of what I found when I found that yarn was also several project bags full of half-made socks.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think I might have mentioned this on the last episode about those. So anyway, I made myself a list. I haven't started working on it. Most of them are going to probably get ripped out. They're going to be a Nix It kind of a situation. But I do have a couple of socks I need to repair. So those are my list. But people have been doing really cool things. And it's really open what you do. Stella had her husband's jacket that needed the cuffs repaired. And so she was going to repair the cuffs with, I think she was going to use ribbon or something to repair the frayed cuffs on the edges. And finally she just decided, oh no, this just needs a seamstress. It needs whole new cuffs. So she brought some denim and the jacket to a seamstress in Santa Cruz area. And now her husband has a repaired jacket with brand new cuffs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and then she also posted a camel saddle that she had recovered. And again, she just took it to somebody to have it recovered and got it fixed. So,
well,
that counts.
That counts, yeah.
No sense having things sitting around not at their full potential if you can get them fixed. If you can't fix them or you can't give them to someone who would appreciate them, then maybe there's someone else who can fix them. So then you can enjoy those things to their full potential. So that kind of was, kind of opened my eyes to some other things I might think about for this Fix It or Nix It. This only goes one more month to January 1st. So now is the time to unburden yourself from those things that need to either be fixed or nixed. So you can start January with a clean slate.
Yes. Well, and I have a couple things, but my plan was to actually go get the ribbon and do the grosgrain ribbon on the plackets. And I've not done it. There was in the thread, Mom Diggity had said that up in Snohomish, Washington, there's a store called Quilting Mayhem, and they have a lot of ribbon.
Oh, okay.
So because all I have here, well, we've had this conversation before. Close by is just Joann's.
Yeah.
I know there's also Pacific Fabric, but it's further down. I have to go further south for that. So I thought that might be kind of a fun drive to go up to Snohomish and check out that shop. And so I'll report in.
I can't remember the name, but I have it written down. There's a sewing store in the Santa Cruz area too that was recommended to me. So maybe when I go do some Christmas shopping up in that area, I'll make sure to stop at I like to go to the bookshop Santa Cruz at some point during my Christmas shopping. So maybe when I'm up there to do that, I will look for the sewing shop and get some grosgrain ribbon, because I do have a sweater to fix too. My acorn trail needs to have ribbon put in it, and the buttons need to be secured because they're falling off.
Okay. Well, but now that we've been talking about Stella just taking it and having somebody fix it, I'm sitting on a chair at my desk, and I want a pad. I want a cushion made for it. So maybe I'll put that in my fix it or nix it. I'll just take it and have somebody make it.
There you go. Yeah.
So I'm inspired now.
There's all kinds of ways to fix it or nix it.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Okay.
So those are the two things that we're sponsoring. And like I said, I'll go in. This should go up this weekend. So sometime next week, I'll go into the thread, and it's just in the chat threads, because the Winter Weave Along has a chat thread, and Fix It or Nix It is only a chat thread. So I'll go in and I'll draw prizes. I have, I forget what I have. I have the yarn that we bought at Continental Stitch. And then one that we got at Told that are...
Well, and I put something in the mail to you today.
Oh, okay.
So there'll be more.
Okay.
Cool. So let's just, because I've been listening, believe it or not, I have been listening to us talk, but let's just go over the dates again. So Winter Weave Along started October 5th and it'll end in March.
It started October 15th and it'll end
15th, I'm sorry.
March 31st.
31st.
Yes.
And then Fix It or Nix It started November 1st and it goes through January 1st.
Right.
So, okay. And then up in my area, there's the St. Distaff Day Spin-In, and that's on January 4th, 2020.
Yeah.
And it's at the Evergreen State Fairgrounds in Monroe, Washington, and it's put on by the local chapter of the Northwest Regional Spinners Association. And it's a fun event. It's kind of fun just to go and just see how many hundred people spinning and spinning.
Yeah, a couple hundred, yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun. And they have a marketplace and prizes.
And they have people selling equipment, like de-stash of equipment.
Yeah, yeah.
So, that's a nice event.
And
Stitches West.
And then the other Stitches West, yeah. So that's February 20th through 23rd at the Santa Clara. Is that the correct dates?
Yeah.
Oh, that is 4 days. That is 4 days.
I double checked, and that's how I know.
Okay, good. Okay, so that's at the Santa Clara Convention Center, and there's always a podcasters meetup hosted by the Yarniacs and the two Knit Lit Chicks. That's always on Saturday, and that'll be the 22nd in the lobby area near the bar of the Hyatt. And we usually meet, isn't it about one?
Yeah, one or two.
Two, we start meeting. And I'm planning on coming down for the for the show. Yeah. But I am going to probably fly home on Saturday. I'm not sure. I have not booked a flight or anything because I have signed up for a cake making series of classes. And the first one starts on that Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
So
there are quite a few people who leave on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'll leave. I don't know what time I'll leave. It sort of depends on what the flights are. I may just go really late at night, and then I can hang out and have dinner. And you could just take me to the airport or something. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But anyway, I will be there.
Cool.
And I'm excited.
Yeah. It's not that far away now. It's kind of
and I don't even need to look at any yarn. It's just so nice just to see people.
That is the fun, the most fun.
That's the
part.
most fun. Yeah.
Well, and then the odd things you see, like skulls.
Skulls, yes. So if I do bring my skull down, that'll be interesting going through security with my skull.
Will they even know it was not just a piece of clothing?
Like, yeah, really.
Oh.
Funny. Anyway, but I got to finish it before I can take it through security.
That's right. It needs more teeth.
Yeah. Anyway. So, Kelly, do we have anything else we need to talk about? No,
I think that's it.
Okay. Then we'll be back in 2 weeks.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.